Hey guys, my name is Emily Danforth, and today I'm going to be talking to you about voice, vocal cords, and how to take care of your voice. A little bit about me: I graduated from the University of Mobile in 2016. My degree is in vocal performance, opera theater, with a concentration in vocal pedagogy. All that to say, my degree is in teaching and singing voice professionally. So let's get started. So let's get started with talking about the size of vocal cords. Many people don't realize how absolutely tiny they are, so we need to make sure that we're taking really good care of them. So most males who are grown, meaning about 26 to 30 and up, their vocal cords are half the size of a quarter. That's really small. Okay, most females grown, that's about age 24 and up, are about a quarter of the size of this penny. And then most children, that's, ages 12 to 16 or so, are about half the size of a dime. Needless to say, all vocal cords are really small and really tiny, so we need to make sure that we're taking really, really good care of them. So something else that's really neat is the way that vocal cords move. They move in a V, so they are connected on one end, and they move like this to hit. Every time they hit and vibrate, it causes sound to come out, and so that is how your vocal cords move and how they work. So since your vocal cords are so small, we need to make sure that we're really taking care of them. When we're not taking care of them, a whole bunch of things can happen to them. One thing, and the most common thing, is called vocal nodules, or nodes as they're called in the business. So they are calluses that develop on either side of your vocal cords whenever they're hitting like this in a wrong manner. Just like any other callus that you have, it builds up really tough muscle that's on top of your vocal cords, and that makes it really difficult to sing and very painful to sing. There are a couple of ways to get rid of nodes once you have them. The most common is surgery. Once you have surgery, you can't really ever go back to your vocal quality that you had before. You can also go on vocal rest, meaning you do not speak or sing for years, probably about 2 or 3 years long of a process. So there's really not really a good way to recover if you do get vocal nodules or nodes. One way to think about it is Adele had vocal nodes. She was in the business, and then she disappeared for about 5 years and then just came out with her new album. During that whole time that she was gone, she had surgery to remove her vocal nodules, and that's why she wasn't able to sing during that whole 5-year process, because she was recovering and relearning how to speak and to sing. Needless to say, it is a very painful process, a very long process, and that is why I'm going to talk about how to sing healthily today. So let's talk about breathing. Vocal breathing is way different than your normal breath that you have. So let me walk you through step by step how to breathe vocally. Now know that it took me about 5 years of a process to really learn how this works, but that's also because I never practiced and honestly kind of didn't care. So learn from my mistakes and make sure that you are practicing this at home. You're not going to get it as quick as I show it to you, but take each step and make sure you're practicing at home, and please don't take 5 years like I did. So breathing, there's a couple of different steps, okay? Breathing, whenever you're singing, comes from the diaphragm or the stomach. You may have heard that before. Breathe from the diaphragm. It's actually kind of impossible because the diaphragm is an involuntary muscle, but I'll kind of show you what they mean. So whenever we're breathing in with our lungs, it requires a lot of space to get a full amount of breath. So everything kind of has to move out of the way. That means that when you breathe in, your stomach will kind of pooch out ever so slightly. I'll show you what I mean in just 1 second. Your rib cage also has to get out of the way. That way more air can come into your lungs. So your rib cage is going to move outward like this, okay? The third step to breathing is called support or engagement. You may have heard either word, but support is the one that I like to use. Support means that you are controlling the amount of exhale and inhale that your body is taking in and getting rid of for each breath. So let me show you kind of what I'm talking about here. Here I have a hardback book. The harder the back, the better for this. Also, the bigger, the better. Make sure it's one that's kind of heavy and sturdy. And I'm going to go to any wall that's sturdy. And I'm going to put this book right here on my stomach, right around my belly button area, wherever it feels kind of comfortable. I'm going to lean into the book, putting my weight kind of into the book and against the wall. And my feet are further away than my shoulders are. Okay, you want to make sure you're really grounded. So when you take in a really good breath, what's going to happen is your stomach is going to pooch out because your lungs are filling up with so much air. And whenever your stomach pooches out, you will move away from the wall. This is what it looks like. Okay, these are really big breaths that I'm taking, but that way you can kind of see what's happening, okay? My stomach and my breath is what is requiring my body to be pushed away from the wall whenever I breathe in. All right, so that's our step one. Step two, our rib cage, okay? So make sure that your rib cage is expanding outwards whenever you're breathing too. So first step, breathing and making sure your stomach is pooching out. Step two is making sure that rib cage moves. It'll look like this when you put it together. Okay, step three is support. That means that whenever you're singing, your stomach is not coming back into the wall. Okay, your stomach only comes back in once you're released at the end of your phrase. Okay, it'll look something like this. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Did you see that I did not come back in towards the wall until I was done singing? That's because I am causing my stomach to remain outward and for me to stay controlled and controlling my exhale. So let's see that one more time, okay? I'm breathing in with my stomach, my rib cage is expanding, and I'm not letting go of it until the very end. Watch one more time. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. And all of it releases back down. So make sure you're taking this at home. Find a good hardback book and be that weird person that breathes with a book against the wall. One of the main questions that I get all the time is, what do you do if you are sick and you need to sing? The biggest thing to know is that if your vocal cords are hurting, don't do it. Don't speak, don't sing, don't do it at all. Okay, you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself personally. That way you don't get nodes on you. Vocal nodules or nodes. Okay, so there's mucus that is supposed to be on your cords at all times. So remember, our vocal cords go like this. There's a small layer of mucus that is right here on your cords at all times. That's to make them hit really easy and very soft and make everything happy, okay? If your vocal cords are dry, if you have a dry, scratchy throat, that means that mucus has been kind of taken away. That's when things can get a little dangerous if you try to sing on a dry throat. The biggest thing to do is hydrate, and again, don't push it. Okay, you can probably sing one song, maybe two if you're really feeling good, but ultimately you cannot push it at all when you have a dry throat, okay? The other thing too is whenever you have a wet sick, so you're really mucusy, you're coughing, it's just really gross and drainage, that means you have too much mucus on your cords, okay? So they're not hitting where they're supposed to. So whenever that happens, the biggest thing to do is to not clear your throat. It is so easy whenever you have a sickness like that you just want to constantly clear your throat and get rid of it. Let it do what it's supposed to do, okay? That mucus is there to help support and help make sure that your cords are not getting hurt. So make sure that you don't clear your throat all the time, okay? That's really bad for them. Ultimately, the biggest thing again, don't push it, okay? Oftentimes when you have a wet sickness where you're really mucusy, you will quickly lose your voice, and that's because your vocal cords are not hitting because there's too thick of a layer of mucus on them. Okay, so you're not actually losing your voice, your vocal cords just aren't able to touch like they're supposed to. So one of the biggest things too, we know not to push, but also never whisper. Doesn't matter if you're healthy or if you're sick, or no matter the circumstance, never whisper. Whispering for your vocal cords is actually worse than screaming on your vocal cords. Now that's pretty bad too, so don't do that either. But make sure that you never ever whisper, okay? If you have no voice, just let you have no voice. Don't try to push it with whispering or anything like that, because it is just really bad for your cords, okay? Don't try really hard to find your voice if it's lost. It will come back, don't worry. And make sure that you're hydrating, make sure that you're resting, and again, don't push and don't whisper. So once you kind of get breathing down a little bit, the next thing to be thinking about is everything that's happening with your tongue and your jaw placement, as well as your soft palate. So let me explain what all of that means. A lot of the time when we think about our tongue, we just think about this part of our tongue. Actually, your tongue is a huge muscle, and it's all the way down here too. So if you press right here, you'll feel that it's either squishy or it's kind of tense at the moment, okay? All of this right here is a muscle that you can control. Whenever you're singing, you need to make sure that this right here, as well as this part, is not tense at all. It needs to be completely relaxed. A way that you can do that, practicing at home, is while you're singing through your song, keep a hand right here and keep feeling how it feels. If it feels tense, if it feels hard, if it's not very squishy, then you need to make sure that you relax it a little bit, okay? Another thing too that you want to think about is your soft palate. Okay, so everyone put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and then pull it back until you get to a really soft, squishy part all the way in the back of your throat. That squishy part right there is your soft palate, okay? We need to make sure that that soft palate is raised like this in the back of our throat, because that allows tons of room for our sound to kind of bounce around in our mouth. So the way that you can get your soft palate raised is every time you yawn, your soft palate raises on its own. So right now, practice it. Go ahead and feel like you're about to yawn, and that soft palate will be nice and raised. Yeah, it's okay if you yawn right now, it happens. Okay, so make sure that that soft palate is raised as well as your tongue relaxed. And the next biggest thing that you need to remember is that you have to keep your jaw open in order for any sound to come out at all, okay? So you might feel a little crazy because you're on stage and you feel like your mouth is dropping to the floor. But if you don't feel that way, you're not doing it right, okay? So your jaw needs to be completely open and completely relaxed. A way to practice that at home seems a little silly, but it totally works. Sing your song like this, where your teeth do not touch and your jaw stays open the whole time. Sing your song like that a couple of times, and then sing it without your hands there, and try to see if you can keep it open as much as possible. Of course, practice it with your consonants in there too, that way we can understand what you're singing, but make sure that you're practicing it like that too. Another thing that I see singers struggling with a lot is hitting those high notes. You all know what I'm talking about. In one of your favorite songs, there's a note that's just a little too high. Oftentimes what I see singers do is really strain for that note. So you can actually physically watch them as they are reaching for that note. That is not going to help you at all, my friends, okay? The only way to reach a really high note like that is to make sure that your breathing is rock solid. Make sure you get a good big breath in. Make sure you're supporting so you're not releasing that breath too early. Make sure that your jaw is open all the way to the floor. Make sure it's huge, and make sure that that soft palate is really lifted high, okay? That's the only way that you can reach high notes. Think about it like this. The more relaxed everything is, the easier that high note is going to be. Totally opposite of what we normally do whenever we're trying to reach a high note, okay? Now, if you're trying to expand your range, whether lower or higher, the best way to do it is to do it very, very safely. This is an easy way that I see a lot of young singers hurt themselves. So I would really suggest that you only work on expanding your range with a vocal coach or a vocal teacher. If you do decide to do it at home, that's fine, but the slower the better, and make sure that you really are taking it one note at a time, Okay, only practice on getting 1/2 step per week. Okay, don't rush into this at all because we don't want you hurting yourself. So I know we absolutely flew through some of these singing basics. So if you're looking for a few more details or someone to help teach you or coach you, I do offer voice lessons. I offer lessons to high school and above, all the way through adults. I teach from the very beginning if you've never had a lesson before or if you've never even sung a note before. And I teach all the way through advanced where you're looking to be on the stage professionally. So if you're looking for some help on some of these things, I'm more than happy to help you. You can contact me at emilyd@sherwoodbaptist.net, or you can call the church phone and ask for me. That phone number is 229-883-1910, and just ask for Emily. Now please just know that I'm always available to help answer any of your questions. If you see me in the hall, please don't be afraid to stop me and ask a question that you have about voice. I'm more than happy to answer it free of charge. So thank you guys so much for paying attention, and I really look forward to seeing you all soon, and congratulations on starting this awesome adventure of leading worship.